Tonight, in the heart of London, the Duke and Duchess of Cambridge dazzled the world with a royal display of debonair glamour and beauty. A lesson to the world in timeless, true star quality, upstaging the echelons of A-list Hollywood royalty and showing those scrambling, grasping Z-listers down the bottom of the list exactly how it's done. The world's press erupted into a frenzy this evening as the royal couple arrived at the Top Gun premiere. Our darling Kate stole hearts and envious glances as her slender curves poured themselves into this column gown, a daring slick number by Roland Mouret. Her clutch was by McQueen and her ear jewels were diamond stars. Darling hubby and king-in-waiting William wore velvet in midnight blue and velvet slippers embroidered with miniature fighter jets. To the envy of many, Catherine's seductive manner beguiled Hollywood royalty as they were shown the real thing. True royalty. Resistance was futile as they were charmed by the prettiest, classiest gal in town. Mr. Cruise couldn't keep his eyes, or hands, off of our fair Duchess. Did nobody give him the memo that you keep your grubby hands off of royalty, my dear? A total faux pas. This is our future queen, my dear, not some starlet or harlot. But the diminutive actor was no threat for our Big Willie, who took it all in his broad stride. Catherine's minx-like monochrome clung to that jaw-dropping frame, and her long hair swished in the glow of neon lights. Once again, our dazzling duo captured the imaginations and hearts of all they surveyed. Ah, weren't they spellbinding, my fruits? Absolutely spellbinding. They never let me down. They never let us down, do they? And they will always be there, just like Her Majesty. I'm just so proud of the way they give it such a dazzling, shining example to the world. Well, I pulled my old corset out the closet for you, my dear, because I wasn't quite sure what to pair my dear lavender cape with. Finally found a good excuse to wear it for the Top Gun premiere. I hope you love it. I thought it was such a nice find from the charity shop, but I wasn't sure what to pair it with, so the old corset came out. So we've got that, and it's turning into Dita Von Teese or something around here, isn't it? I feel like Anne Miller in Easter Parade with the old marabou, but this is my new fluffy fan. Isn't it wonderful? It's still molting a bit because it's fairly new. But let's see if I can do a bit of the old burlesque. Ooh, dear. See, I was never... Ooh! This is bringing me back to my school days when I couldn't catch the ball and they used to throw it to me. But it's not all play and pleasure for the Cambridges. Big Willie was out in service again. We saw him unveil the new submariner's memorial, and this photo really delighted me. Did you see him with Diana Mays, 100 years old? She was widowed in 1943. And what a delight these photographs were. They're so attentive, aren't they, to everybody, child and the elderly alike. And William paid tribute to the continued resilience of the Royal Navy's submariners and families. He said the monument harnesses in physical form the struggles this life of service can lead to. More plans for the Jubilee concert have been revealed. The pageant, the final pageant, where I fear the Harkles are going to be showing up on the balcony, is on the Sunday, but the night before there's going to be a huge concert outside Buckingham Palace. And the palace itself is going to become Britain's largest screen. It'll be turned into a projection-mapped display. The first musical artist is going to be Queen, but unfortunately they can't bring back old Queen Freddie from the dead. That would be wonderful, wouldn't it? Ah, what a turn-up for the books that would be. We do miss him, don't we? But in his place we've got Adam Lambert, who's been doing a fine job performing with Queen over the years. And Brian May played at the Golden Jubilee, if you remember, 20 years ago. He performed a rendition of God Save the Queen on the roof, I think it was, on the guitar. And it seems he's got a surprise in store because he says, "There was a moment when I wondered, after the Buckingham Palace roof, where can you go from there? Well, you will see. And I believe there are plenty of surprises in store." And they've got bundles and bundles of celebrities, some announced, some not yet, I don't think. Quite a wide range. Duran Duran. Duran Duran. Andrea Bocelli, Craig David, can I get a rewind? George Ezra. Oh, and this really made my heart sing. I couldn't believe it when I saw this, because this girl never comes back to our shores, or very rarely. And the beloved Julie Andrews. Yes, I mean, she's almost up there with the Queen, isn't she? Not quite, but if it wasn't for Her Majesty, Dame Julie Andrews would be it. Our wonderful Julie Andrews, who sometimes forgets that she is a British gal because she left us for those American shores after falling in love with her hubby, ex-hubby. But when she does make the pilgrimage back to England, we love seeing her. So that's really made my day that she's going to be there. Julie Andrews, Sir David Attenborough, Stephen Fry, Julie Walters, they're trotting out all the usual national treasures. David Beckham, Emma Raducanu. Presumably these aren't all going to be singing or performing music, but presenting. And a pre-recorded version of Elton John. Of course, they're going to ship her out again, aren't they, my dear, with all her tantrums and tiaras. Alicia Keys and Diana Ross, of course, will be bringing up the rear. Miss Ross. So, very exciting. And they've provided some computer-generated images of what it might look like. There's 22,000 people attending this concert, with 10,000 of those tickets allocated to the general public. 7,500 to key workers, members of the armed forces, volunteers and charity workers. I've been very pleased to see that Charles and Camilla's tour of Canada has got off to a really nice start. Of course, there's going to be controversies and some difficult conversations, but in general their reception has been very warm, as it was when I've been to Canada. I just love the Canadian people. I mean, I'm told, and I don't want to offend my Canadian viewers because you know how much I adore Canada. It's probably right up there with England as far as I'm concerned. It's just the parts that I've seen, because sometimes I've said that and Canadians have said, you haven't seen where I live in Canada, it's awful. But the parts I've seen have been very beautiful, with beautiful people. And but one criticism it has been getting lately is that people are saying it's the wokest country in the world, especially with Trudeau at the helm. So I don't know if that's true. I don't live there, but apparently it's being taken over by the woke faster than even our other nations. Trust me, it can't get much worse than it is here in the kingdom. But let's hope there's a bit of pushback for that coming. Anyway, of course, I got some maple syrup in this week, because when I stay with my friend's family on their farm in Little St Mary's in Ontario, they always make me bacon with maple syrup and pancakes in the morning. So I got some pancakes in for myself, and I've been having a little dash of maple syrup, and this is the organic version from Marks and Sparks, but any will do. And yes, I go through phases of loving maple syrup. It's actually very nice in porridge. It just gives, if you just put a little dash of it in, it doesn't need lots of gloopy mess all over it, but a little dash just gives it that little sweet treat, as does a few flaked almonds on top of the porridge. It's a really nice combination. But it was lovely to see Prince Charles thanked and recognised. Not that he expects to be thanked for the work that he does, and to be honest, people aren't very grateful for the decades of service that he's put in as the Prince of Wales. But Canada, the people of Canada and of Ukraine have been thanking him when he joined refugees for prayers at an Orthodox church in Ottawa on the second day of this tour. They were joining the Ukrainian-Canadian community. Boy, that's a tongue twister. They were joining them for prayers, and they were offered thanks by these people, completely unsolicited, I've got to tell you. It isn't something that gets arranged in advance. That would not be very royal. But they were humbly thanked by the Ukrainian-Canadian community for the assistance of the British to their community suffering under Putin's attack, because it's Britain that's been very proactive during this awful situation over the last few months. Obviously, there's always more that one can do and that one wants to do, but Britain has been at the forefront of help to Ukraine in this horrible time, has been at the forefront of organising arms and intelligence, as much help as it can provide to Ukraine as possible, without stepping over that fine line from assistance with their defence into aggression towards Russia, which of course would not be happy news for the rest of the world. So treading a very delicate line. And Charles and Camilla spoke to refugee families who were forced to flee their homes under shelling. They were treated to a spectacular display of those very sexy mounted police that you have in Canada. The Canadian mounted police with their red uniforms, very handsome they always look, and they saw the musical ride of the mounted police. And Charles delighted stallholders on a walkabout to a market. They were mobbed. The crowds went wild for them. There were photographs, selfies, and he did some wonderful promo for the maple syrup community because he said it's great stuff, it's good for you. So hopefully that's some wonderful publicity for the old maple moose. Prince Charles also met the chief of the National Assembly of First Nations. He met with Indigenous leaders and they asked him for a royal apology from the Queen over the assimilation and genocide of Indigenous school children. And she said apparently the Prince acknowledged failures in handling the relationship with Indigenous people. Get cosy, it's time for Tip Jar Corner. Well, my duckies, you've already seen this coral number that I picked up this morning and wore in the last video. Such a brilliant find. It was so cool to wear because it was very hot earlier today when I recorded. This was nice and cool. It's a size 14, UK size 14, so too large for me, but that's actually really good for filming videos because it doesn't get tight and too close, and you know, it just hangs rather nicely. So most of what I got today was from, where was it? Bernardo's, Dr. Bernardo's, the charity, and the other one was the Heart Foundation, I think. This was reduced. It was £5 down to £3 for this one, and most of these will just be one-offs that I wear to you know, decorate the screen for you, to give you little points of interest, and they'll go back to charity. So thank you for your tips because they do go towards these charity shop buys. Oh, and I picked up 2 vases as well while I was there because I knew I was going to be getting the tulips in today because the lavender matches my lovely cape, or bolero, whatever you want to call it. So I saw that. It was only a couple of quid, that one. And it made a nice difference because I was going to put them in my jug, which is a similar size, but I thought, oh, actually, that vase will do rather nicely, and it's at a great price. And this is very nice as well. You might recall I've got a large one just like this globe, which sometimes is a bit too overbearing, but I thought this might be sweet if I've just got a couple, 2 or 3 peonies to put in there and showcase for you at the side. And that was just £2.49 bric-a-brac. And I love the shattered glass effect and the way that the light plays on it. Another one from Bernardo's, which I thought might come in handy for anything platinum related. It's in the flesh, it's rather platinum coloured. It's reading a bit beige on the screen here, but it is platinum, I assure you, a platinum colour with all these embellishments running along the top. And I'm sure I'll be able to reimagine it into some kind of off-the-shoulder number, maybe with another bolero over the shoulders. But yes, it's good to have these things spare, you know, so that I can just pluck them out of the dressing up box when the time comes when they're needed. So very good timing there for the Jubilee. And I must remember to cut off these hanger straps because I always forget and they always poke out. This is a rather silly beret, but I rather liked the zigzag Ziggy Stardust design there, and you never know, it might come in handy for an emergency. And this was £3, this hat from Bernardo's. Pretty colours. Another frock. They'd been reducing a lot of the frocks, well, most of the items this week. Oh, the tag's fallen off, but it was half price, £5 down to £2.50. Dr. Bernardo's. This is pink and blue, and bright colours always read well on camera here, so yes, that's something a little bit different. Slightly frumpy, perhaps, but I've got some nice pieces of jewellery that will match this as well in pink and blue, unless it's busy enough on its own without jewellery. But it's a small size gown. It doesn't say what size, but it's small, so hopefully I can wriggle into it because it hasn't got a zip or anything, but we'll see. Then this one is beautiful coloured sequins here, quite mermaid-like, isn't it? Just a cheap and shiny old thing, but it might look cute under a black velvet jacket, or, you know, I'll find some way to fashion it, my dear. This was £3.99 by a brand called Lashes. Never heard of them, but there we go. And it has sort of translucent short sleeves there. I'll probably cover them some way. But yes, very, very mermaid fantasy. Just call me Ariel. And this is a rather ugly jacket, I've got to tell you. Well, the only reason I really went for it was because this was also £2.50 reduced, so very cheap. It's an extra large, so it might swamp me a bit, but again, bright colours do come in handy, and I like to show you something new and fresh as often as I can in each video, so I will be able to pair this with something. Maybe when the weather gets a bit chilly again, but at least it's a nice bright colour that I can just chuck on over the top of something if needs be, so good for emergencies. They had a large batch of these necklaces, and you know, I prefer to pick up second-hand or truly vintage jewels and jewellery to show you, but this is some mass-produced thing, but it was going fairly cheap at £4, down from £20, and it will come in handy because I like to adorn my neck with as many different things as possible, and I like that this has both diamondy, silver and gold in it because it will go with my crown. So yeah, that was fairly decent find. So there we are, my duckies. A thrill to see you, a thrill to see our sexy Cambridges putting their best foot forward and showing the world how it's done, my dears. Aren't they marvellous? Yeah, nice fun show. Thank you for joining me, and I look forward to seeing you in the next broadcast. Take care, won't you, my loves? Ta-ta.